In July 2025, on the quiet farmlands near Carnoustie in Angus, Scotland, archaeologists stumbled upon a remarkable revelation. Beneath what seemed to be nothing more than ordinary fields, flat stretches of grass running endlessly across the countryside, lay immense wooden beams, carefully arranged with astonishing accuracy. These weren't random pieces of timber buried in the earth. Together, they formed a gigantic construction, unlike anything previously identified in Britain. And this wasn't just another archaeological curiosity. It turned out to be nearly 1,000 years older than Stonehenge itself. Imagine discovering something predating, and perhaps rivaling in significance, one of the most celebrated ancient landmarks in the world. For decades, scholars assumed that Britain's earliest Neolithic people lived in scattered, modest groups, focused mainly on day-to-day survival. Yet here, hidden beneath calm farmland, emerged undeniable evidence of a highly organized community capable of building something monumental. As the excavation advanced, the puzzle grew ever deeper. Purposefully positioned oak posts, decorated pottery fragments, and traces of large gatherings all suggested a place of shared importance. It may have served as ceremonial grounds, an administrative hub, or perhaps both. Still, questions persisted. Why was such a structure created so far back in history? And why was it deserted and lost for millennia? Could this be Britain's very first large-scale communal hall? Might it force us to rethink everything we thought we knew about the abilities of early societies? Or does it hint at further, hidden wonders resting silently beneath Scotland's soil, waiting to be revealed? Join us as we delve into this captivating archaeological enigma, a find that is rewriting history itself. Music. Like many great archaeological stories, this one began in a routine way. A standard survey near Carnoustie in eastern Scotland. In July 2025, a team of archaeologists inspected farmland marked for development. At first glance, there was nothing unusual, just gently rolling grassland, no different from countless other sites across the nation. But underneath this peaceful surface lay something astonishing. Ground-penetrating radar first exposed intriguing shapes below the earth. Strikingly symmetrical patterns that clearly weren't natural. Encouraged by these signals, the archaeologists dug small test trenches. Almost immediately, their work was rewarded. Enormous oak timbers, preserved under thousands of years of soil, began to surface. Picture the moment, brushing away earth to uncover ancient wood, realizing they were standing atop a discovery of breathtaking importance. News spread fast. Specialists from across Britain rushed to witness the sight firsthand, instantly grasping its significance. Initial curiosity quickly turned into amazement as more of the structure came into view. These timbers were not randomly scattered. They had been arranged with deliberate precision, forming a massive rectangle measuring roughly 35 meters in length and 9 meters in width. This was larger than any Neolithic building previously identified in Britain. Archaeologist Dr. Susan McKay vividly recalls the first time she laid eyes on one of the great oak beams. When that first timber emerged, the entire team fell silent. It was clear we had uncovered something extraordinary. I remember brushing away soil and realizing I was touching wood unseen by humans for thousands of years. Moments like that are why archaeology is so electrifying. Reactions ranged from quiet awe to outright disbelief. Senior experts described the discovery as unprecedented, aware they were confronting something groundbreaking. Before long, the media caught on, and the quiet Scottish countryside drew national and international attention. But the research team pressed on with careful, methodical work, excavating, recording, and interpreting every piece of evidence. Soon, pottery shards, animal bones, and charred hearths began to appear, pointing to large gatherings once held inside the structure. Yet the deeper they dug, the more questions emerged. Who built this vast wooden hall? What role did it serve in the lives of its builders? What they had uncovered beneath ordinary farmland was something that overturned assumptions about early Neolithic life. But what exactly was this buried giant of timber? As excavation continued, its immense scale became undeniable. Measuring about 35 meters long and 9 meters across, the hall represented a construction effort of incredible magnitude. To put that into perspective, it was the size of a modern tennis court, built more than 6,000 years ago by communities working with only the simplest tools. In the distance, a long rectangular structure took shape, its form marked out by orderly rows of towering wooden posts. Each log cut from sturdy oak, had been deliberately selected, carved, and positioned with remarkable precision, an astonishing feat given the primitive tools available in those days. Many of the timbers had survived in excellent condition. Some still stood upright, while others rested where they had toppled thousands of years before. A close examination of the oak beams revealed craftsmanship of the highest order. Local trees had been carefully trimmed and polished using only basic stone implements. The cuts left behind on the wood clearly demonstrated the builder's attention to detail. The uniform distances between posts and the equal depths of the holes into which they were set suggested an intentional plan and a team working in an organized manner. Inside the vast hall, researchers uncovered evidence pointing to distinct areas for different purposes. Central fire pits, visible as blackened soil and soot-stained stones, indicated communal hearths. These fires would have acted as gathering points for groups within the structure. They were arranged evenly along the building's length, possibly dividing the interior into multiple sections. Pottery fragments, animal remains, and traces of grain found nearby hinted at feasting, social events, and perhaps ceremonial functions. Other discoveries, such as shallow grooves and additional post holes, hinted at smaller enclosed areas inside the main hall. These spaces may have served as storerooms, private chambers, or perhaps places for special rituals. Their precise roles remain uncertain, adding intrigue and encouraging ongoing research. Some entryways even featured neatly laid stone paving, suggesting the builders intended the hall to appear impressive and symbolic. Nothing about its design seemed accidental. Every feature carried meaning, raising questions about its creators. Today, when archaeologists stand at the site, they picture massive oak posts holding up an immense roof, with people gathered around blazing fires. Thousands of years ago, members of the Carnoustie community would have crowded into this hall, firelight flickering across their faces as they shared meals, participated in rituals, or held important assemblies. Such reconstructions help us imagine daily life in this ancient society, showing they achieved far more sophistication than scholars once believed. When the hall's scale and complexity were first uncovered, researchers immediately asked who had built it and when. Radiocarbon analysis provided a clear timeline, dating its construction to around 4000 BC, at the very start of Britain's Neolithic period. To grasp the full significance of this achievement, we must look back at the people of that era. Before the 4th millennium BC, Britain was largely home to nomadic groups who survived by hunting animals and gathering seasonal plants. Then came a turning point. Farming arrived. Agriculture reshaped daily existence, encouraging communities to settle permanently near fertile soils and fresh water sources. They began cultivating grains, raising cattle, and establishing fixed villages. With stability came growth, and soon people created larger structures for gatherings, rituals, and communal activities. Life in early Neolithic Scotland revolved around farming cycles. Villagers rose with the dawn to work fields of wheat and barley, gathered wild berries and roots, and hunted deer or boar in surrounding woodlands. Each individual had responsibilities, from tending livestock and crops to crafting pottery and shaping stone tools. Trade with neighboring settlements spread knowledge, pottery designs, and farming methods, gradually weaving isolated villages into a wider network of connected communities. The settlements around Carnoustie likely worked closely together, convening at central places like this timber hall to exchange goods, celebrate, forge alliances, and perhaps even arrange marriages. Those who raised the Carnoustie Timber Hall were part of these farming communities, tied both culturally and economically to groups across continental Europe. Practices such as agriculture, pottery making, and shared traditions traveled from regions we now know as France, Belgium, and the Netherlands, shaping the cultural identity of Neolithic Scotland. Through both migration and exchange, cultural practices spread northward, eventually reaching early communities in Scotland and shaping their ways of living. These pioneering farming groups were not large by today's standards, but they displayed remarkable organization, cooperation, and creativity. They cut down forests with finely polished stone axes, erected dwellings with timber frameworks and thatched coverings, and crafted pottery vessels to hold grain and liquids. Innovations essential for farming and storage. When archaeologists closely examined the Carnoustie Hall, they uncovered striking proof of these skills. Massive oak beams had been carefully cut, smoothed, and measured with stone implements. Each piece was placed with great accuracy, pointing to deliberate planning and the coordination of several communities joining forces. Such collective effort implies early systems of leadership or structured collaboration, enabling groups to combine resources for ambitious undertakings. At around the same time across Northern Europe, comparably large timber halls and ritual sites were appearing in regions such as Denmark and Germany. The Carnoustie structure may represent Scotland's own expression of this broader cultural tradition, revealing interconnected practices and shared architectural ideas. Early Neolithic groups also upheld distinctive ritual customs across Britain. Collective burials in enormous tombs or cairns reflected beliefs centered on ancestors and group identity. With its spacious central hearths and open gathering areas, the Carnoustie Hall may well have hosted similar communal ceremonies, reinforcing social bonds and shared traditions. Because writing had not yet developed in Britain during this era, no written accounts exist. Nevertheless, the physical evidence, pottery, tools, and burial remains, provides a vivid reconstruction of life. Far from being isolated, struggling groups, these were communities that collaborated, organized, and achieved monumental projects. This makes the discovery of Carnoustie's Timber Hall even more extraordinary. It overturns long-standing assumptions that such grand communal buildings appeared only later in Britain's past. Its scale, early date, and intricate design demonstrate sophisticated organization and skills much earlier than scholars had once believed. Yet significant mysteries linger. Why did people choose to build such a vast hall at this site? What circumstances led to its eventual abandonment and burial beneath the ground? And what more might future archaeological digs uncover about this remarkable Neolithic society? These ancient builders did not leave us a guidebook titled Neolithic Plans, 4000 BC, but the evidence slowly fills in the story. One pressing question was, why did the builders invest so much effort here? Excavation finds offered important clues. Most striking were thousands of animal bones scattered throughout the site. These were not random scraps. They were remains of enormous feasts, reminiscent of prehistoric banquets. Imagine entire communities gathered together, fires blazing, roasting cattle, sheep, and pigs, and sharing meals on a grand scale. Events like this demanded extensive planning, food collection, preparation, and organized distribution. Clearly, the hall was not a casual meeting place. It was the central hub of communal gatherings. Pottery fragments found beside the main hearths supported this picture. These vessels, carefully made and sometimes beautifully decorated, pointed to frequent cooking, storage, and serving activities. Beyond utility, the decoration highlighted skilled craftwork and traditions rich in meaning. The hearths themselves had been deliberately aligned down the length of the hall, creating defined sections that may have served different social groups or ceremonial purposes. Archaeologists also uncovered stone paving at the entrances. These intentionally laid stones suggest entry into the hall was not casual but ceremonial, designed to impress visitors and emphasize significance. Beyond feasting, scholars propose that the hall likely functioned as a center for administration or governance. Given its prominence, leaders may have gathered here to resolve disputes, discuss collective affairs, or organize large communal projects such as harvests or construction. Ritual practices were almost certainly woven into these activities. In the Neolithic world, practical decision-making and symbolic ceremony were often combined to strengthen communal unity. Still, despite all these insights, the complete story of Carnoustie's Great Hall remains elusive. Absolute certainty is impossible. Because no written records survive, every interpretation must depend on meticulous study of physical remains. Yet the picture that emerges is striking. This wooden hall clearly functioned as a lively communal hub, vital to daily life as well as ritual activity. Was its eventual abandonment the result of conscious decision or outside forces? For now, much of its purpose remains obscured, leaving archaeologists determined to uncover further answers. One of the most fascinating qualities of Carnoustie's Timber Hall is its antiquity. It predates Stonehenge by almost 1,000 years. This realization challenges long-held views of Britain's earliest monuments. Stonehenge, renowned for enormous stones hauled across great distances, has often been regarded as the peak of early British construction. Yet the builders of Carnoustie were achieving remarkable accomplishments far earlier. Instead of megaliths, they worked with immense oak trunks harvested locally, shaping them with astonishing precision using nothing more than simple stone tools. Where Stonehenge emphasizes astronomical alignments and careful stone placement, Carnoustie showcases a different but equally advanced mastery, refined carpentry, balanced design, and sophisticated engineering for its era. Comparisons with other prehistoric British sites underline Carnoustie's exceptional character. Avebury, known for its huge ring of standing stones, appeared later. Likewise, Orkney's renowned Ness of Brodger, a highly developed stone complex, was constructed centuries afterward. Carnoustie, therefore, predates many celebrated Neolithic monuments, providing evidence of complex social organization and monumental construction much earlier than previously recognized. Across continental Europe, discoveries echo this achievement. In Germany, archaeologists revealed a 7,000-year-old timber hall near Leipzig, remarkable for its immense size and detailed internal layout. In Denmark, so-called longhouses of similar age also point to large-scale timber architecture. Collectively, these findings indicate that imposing wooden halls were far more widespread than once assumed, representing shared cultural traditions throughout early Neolithic Europe. So why has timber architecture been undervalued compared to stone monuments? The answer lies in durability. Stone endures for millennia, leaving dramatic, visible ruins. Wood, however monumental, decays and disappears beneath soil layers, hiding its existence from view. Carnoustie's hall, concealed for thousands of years, forces archaeologists to rethink how Britain's earliest communities built and organized their world. Could many more monumental wooden halls from this period remain undetected? Increasingly, scholars believe Scotland's fields may conceal countless such structures, quietly preserved below the ground. The thrill of unearthing Carnoustie's hall has prompted new questions. Might other equally grand Neolithic buildings still lie buried across Scotland and Northern Europe? The likely answer is yes. Cutting-edge technology is now helping expose these secrets. Tools such as LiDAR, laser scanning conducted from drones and aircraft, are transforming archaeology. This method penetrates forest canopies, vegetation, and soil cover to generate precise three-dimensional maps, revealing hidden features beneath the landscape. Globally, LiDAR has revolutionized discovery, uncovering sprawling ancient cities beneath Central American jungles and revealing forgotten monuments across Europe. In Scotland, recent LiDAR surveys have already exposed traces of unknown Neolithic settlements, earthworks, and ceremonial sites buried beneath farmland and woodland. Combined with aerial imagery and ground-penetrating radar, these methods detect ditches, circles, and other structures invisible from the surface. Fresh discoveries continue to emerge. In Aberdeenshire, LiDAR scans revealed an extensive complex of previously unknown enclosures and earthworks. In the Scottish borders, geophysical surveys uncovered evidence of substantial ancient timber buildings. Together, these breakthroughs strongly suggest that Carnoustie's Timber Hall is only the beginning. Each new find adds depth to Scotland's prehistoric story, pointing to networks of interconnected Neolithic communities still hidden beneath the soil. The message is unmistakable. Scotland may yet conceal many more monumental timber halls, waiting for the moment archaeologists bring them back into the light. For hundreds of years, Scotland's farmland has been tilled and reshaped, gradually concealing or erasing traces of much older constructions beneath layers of earth. Today, advanced scanning technologies offer archaeologists remarkable tools to rediscover these long-lost remnants, opening the door to thrilling discoveries in the years ahead. Could upcoming excavations reveal even more monumental halls, temples, or ceremonial gathering places that predate Carnoustie? Each year, new techniques uncover fresh archaeological wonders, reminding us that Scotland's peaceful landscapes may still guard extraordinary secrets. The unearthing of the Carnoustie Timber Hall was truly revolutionary, yet that revelation marked only the beginning. Archaeologists are convinced they have barely touched the surface, quite literally. Plans are already underway to broaden the excavation area, aiming to uncover far more about this extraordinary Neolithic building and the society that raised it. In the near future, specialists will conduct focused digs around Carnoustie, guided by LiDAR and ground-penetrating radar surveys. One especially promising location, situated just east of the Timber Hall, hints at possible additional constructions, perhaps smaller halls or early dwellings. Soil testing will play a major role as well, as scientists search for preserved pollen and seeds that can reveal how the local environment looked during the Neolithic age. International collaborations will further strengthen the research, introducing methods such as advanced radiocarbon dating and microscopic examination of pottery fragments. Techniques capable of unlocking surprising new perspectives on life and trade in Britain and Northern Europe thousands of years ago. Future studies at Carnoustie will also analyze the artifacts already collected, from pottery shards and animal bones to building materials. Specialists hope to clarify how this community lived, organized itself, and carried out daily routines millennia in the past. Preservation experts will ensure that fragile timbers and delicate finds are stabilized so that future generations can continue to examine and learn from them. But the investigation is not limited to Carnoustie alone. Archaeologists are already exploring other promising sites across the region, again using LiDAR and ground-penetrating radar to detect hidden features below the soil. These cutting-edge tools help researchers locate entirely new archaeological landscapes. It's possible that additional settlements or communal gathering spaces, perhaps even more ancient than Carnoustie's Timber Hall, still lie waiting. What makes this especially exciting is that each new find has the potential to transform our entire view of Neolithic Scotland. Entire complexes of halls, villages, and ceremonial grounds might yet be uncovered, reshaping our understanding of early societies across Northern Europe. The scope of what lies ahead is vast, with the promise of filling historical gaps and enriching this already remarkable story. Ongoing projects will also investigate the environmental backdrop that influenced where and why these ambitious structures were built. By analyzing pollen, seeds, and soils, experts will reconstruct how early farming communities adapted to their surroundings and sustained themselves for generations. Perhaps the most captivating question of all is whether Carnoustie's Timber Hall was a unique marvel or part of a larger network of communal buildings scattered throughout Scotland. Could such halls have been centers for gatherings, rituals, or leadership councils, connecting distant groups into a more extensive social web than previously imagined? As archaeologists push forward, every new trench and every artifact discovered deepens our appreciation for Scotland's ancient past. With each fragment of evidence, we come closer to understanding an era when early communities built monumental wooden halls that continue to inspire awe today.